Shalom. Call hello Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai Bashim. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so, now more so than ever. All right, those of the hopefully elect of the tabernacle of David scattered around the world to the four corners of the earth. Some mixed in with the heathen, sometimes looking like the heathen. To them I say shalom. To the Akwaf, the few sisters that are listening and learning, to you I give a hearty and sincere shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago, coming at you with another lesson. And basically we're just going to talk about prophecy tonight, prophecy of the 10 toes and how they're falling apart, you know, the 10 toes in Babylon. Okay, so let's just go right to Daniel, the 7th chapter, and I'm going to start at verse 15. And it reads, "And I, Daniel, grieved in my body and spirit in the midst of my body, and the visions of my head troubled me. I came near unto them and stood by and asked him the truth of all this. So he told me and made me know the interpretation of the things. These great beasts, which are four kings, which shall arise out of the earth." And these are the four great nations. There were many nations, but there were four major nations. All right, and the fourth one being the Roman Empire, which America is an extension of. When it talks about, and when you go to Revelation, the 12th chapter, about that dragon that was wounded but yet did live, the Roman army was known as the Red Dragon. All right, and they were born again through Esau, Edom, during the Renaissance, through Britain, and America came out of Britain. All right, and it says, "And these beasts, which are four kings, which shall arise out of the earth, but the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever." So like I told you in a couple videos back, we're fighting a battle we've already won. No matter how bad it gets, how many of us die, how many of us suffer, in the end, we've already won. And the learned Edomites know this. Okay? They're just in denial in their spirit, or don't want to accept the truth. "Then I would know the truth of the fourth beast, which was diverse from all others, exceedingly dreadful, whose teeth were iron, his nails brass, which devoured and brake in pieces and stamped the residue with his feet, and of the 10 horns which were in his head, and of the other which came up, from whom 3 fell. Even the horn had an eye and a mouth that spake great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows. For I beheld the same horde made war with the saints and prevailed against them. And until the Ancient of Days came, and the judgment was given unto the saints of the Most High, and the time of the saints possessed the kingdom," because it clearly tells you that Esau is the end of the world and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So we're talking about the end of the world here. All right, and Babylon is linked to Esau, Edom in the Bible. So Edom has to be ruling. "Thus saith the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon the earth, which shall be diverse from all other kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down and break it in pieces." And that's the problem now. This video right here is called "Countries Worldwide Ready to Dump America." I say again, it's on RT, and it's called "Countries Worldwide Ready to Dump America." Dump in all capitals. All right? Because let's read verse 24. "And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are the 10 kings that shall arise from another, shall rise after them, and shall be diverse from the first." And so when we get to the book of Revelations, I'll break it down a little bit further, but the NATO, all right, it started off with seven countries, all right, all Edomite countries, and then 10 countries formed NATO. All right, and the 7 were, I think it was Britain, Germania Minor, Portugal, Spain, France, and then there's one more which I'm forgetting right now. But those are the 7. And then out of them came the 10 horns. All right, so NATO is that beast, the 10-horned beast. All right, because horns represent powers, countries. Okay?
Each year, as we approach 9/11, we remember that 3,000 lives were lost on that terrible Tuesday in 2001. Since then, what liberties have we lost to government overreach, corruption, and abuse? But first, despite President Trump's bluster, is the USA losing its leadership position in the world order? Have we already lost it? I'm Holland Cook in Washington. This is The Big Picture on RT America.
See, when you go into the prophecy that Daniel broke down in the book of Daniel, when it talked about the 10 toes, it talked about those that were weak and those that were strong. All right? And that's what you're witnessing. You're witnessing the EU, NATO fall apart and begin to separate from America, which is going to fulfill for prophecy that all the nations are going to turn on Babylon.
Implementing the Paris Climate Agreement, low carbon, sustainable development, 5G technology shared with all partners, all righteous goals that the world seeks from a leading superpower, and all elements of a comprehensive strategic partnership between China and Russia. Meanwhile, back on the ranch, our president has pulled us out of the JCPOA nuke treaty, imposed sanctions on Iran and tariffs on China, and he abides the regime change meddling in Venezuela and elsewhere. Is this erratic administration, plus emerging Eurasian collaboration, the perfect storm that can sink the US dollar as the world's preeminent currency and our leadership among nations? Let's ask RT defense expert, longtime Pentagon official Michael Maloof, and Peter Schiff, chief economist and global strategist at Euro-Pacific Capital. Welcome both. And Michael, during the recent G7 meeting, I couldn't resist the temptation. I muted my TV, and to me, the body language was very telling. Is it my imagination, or are other world leaders merely tolerating Trump's buffoonery?
Well, they're trying to be polite to answer your question, but on the other hand, they are looking in other directions. They see that the United States is going it alone with its America First approach, which is basically controlled by the neoconservatives in this government, and as a result of using economic warfare through sanctions and tariff battles with almost every country in the world these days. They're looking for alternatives, and we're beginning to see Europe, our Western partners there, beginning to look more eastward as a consequence. And I think as a result of all of this, and with a benchmark of the Trump administration, as you point.
Like he said, the body language of the nations toward Trump. Not to mention that this devil up here to his right over his shoulder just got fired, which is interesting that he's the Secretary of Defense, and got the 9/11, anniversary, which that's the narrative that they want the world to believe has more holes in it than Swiss cheese, but yet they still want to try and make everybody believe it and stand by it. But that's neither here nor there. But this guy Michael Bolton right here, that's over DJ Trump's shoulder, just got fired. So, I'm still wondering what's going to happen and what's going to come of that the Secretary of Defense would get fired, 48 hours, less than 48 hours before the anniversary of the event that's called 9/11.
Point out, dropping out of the JCPOA, the Iran nuclear agreement.
Salakia, their body language says it all, man. This is Revelation 14:8. And they followed another angel, saying, Babylon is fallen, that great city, because she made all the nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. See, everyone has laid down with this horror, which is America, and everyone has gotten some sort of venereal disease. Everyone is in fear of going to the bathroom because of the burning sensation or whatever pain that they're going to have, because they all laid down with the same horror, man. All right? And the nations are basically tired of this place. So anyone who doesn't want to understand and believe that the nations of the world are going to turn on Babylon in the midst of World War III, which is already at hand, you clearly don't understand the scriptures, or you're being delusional.
In May last year, that really set the tone for an acceleration of getting out from under the dominance of the U.S. dollar and the Western financial system, such as SWIFT and what have you, and looking for alternative approaches. And what we're seeing here is this acceleration. We're seeing Russia, China, Iran, Turkey, India, Pakistan, the BRICS countries of Brazil, China, Russia, and even South Africa beginning now to look more eastward in this pursuit. And it's not stopping. It's accelerating. And as a result of sanctions that are being put on our European friends, they're looking more eastward as a consequence. So this is beginning to evolve, but it's accelerating more rapidly now.
Well, Peter, when I hit the mute button during the G7, admittedly what I am observing is subjective, but numbers are objective. Measurably, how is the USA's stature faring under this mercurial president?
Well, first of all, the problems that the United States have, are way before Donald Trump. I mean, the real issue for the dollar and what's going to sink the dollar is our own fiscal profligacy. And these large deficits, budget deficits and trade deficits, were here long before we elected Donald Trump. Now, he has not done anything about it. In fact, the deficits are getting bigger, both trade and budget deficits. What has enabled this over the years has been the world's willingness to hold U.S. dollars as the primary reserve currency and to continue to loan money to Americans and to the U.S. government so we can continue to live beyond our means. We can have enormous government programs that we don't pay for, and we can consume all sorts of goods that we don't manufacture.
And see, you can't consume your way to wealth and riches, man. All right? You just can't do it. And like you said, the nations of the world don't want to accept the American dollar as the world reserve currency. Everyone's looking for alternatives now. This is Revelation 17:1. And there came one of the seven angels which had the seven veils, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. All right? Because there's many people here in America. All right? And America does sit upon many waters, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornications, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornications, her philosophy. All right, you got nations that are completely lost control over their female population and their way of life, and customs being broken, following after America, like the famous image of the big booty Iranian chick that climbed up the tower and started twerking. All right, where did she learn that from? She learned that from watching Western television, Western movies, Western videos. Nicki Minaj, what's her name? The Cardi B and J-Lo and all that mess. Okay? They learn that the whole disrespectful culture, woman before the man, woman equal to the man, woman above the man, which the Lord didn't. That's out of order. The Lord never set it up like that. All right, these other nations were actually, especially the ones, the so-called Middle East nations, were still holding on to the customs of the ancient world, which are actually righteous customs that keep and establish order. That's why there's so much disorder in America. All right. Verse 3. So he carried me away into the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw the woman sit upon the scarlet colored beast, full of the names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. There's those countries and NATO, as I spoke of earlier. prophecies that were fulfilled. Because remember, NATO started with 10 countries, you know, and NATO and the EU grew from there. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. All right, and it is, you know, the LBGTQ letters just keep getting bigger and bigger, and pretty soon, the way things are going, bestiality and pedophilia, well, bestiality is already acceptable and normal in some states, but it'll be acceptable completely across the board, and so will pedophilia, because they're looking to normalize it. That's why they're teaching these sort of things to kindergartners and first graders, that it's okay, you know. And then they have in the bathroom where anybody can go in it, and they're preparing. They're trying to make this, you know, they're making this Babylon / ancient Greece and Rome all over again. All right. Verse 5. And upon the forehead was a name written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and the abominations of the earth. And so that's not, that would not be a nation except America. That's not the Iranians or the Arabs, the Palestinians or Hezbollah or the Taliban or any of them. Those things are learned here from the Americans. This do with thy will, you know, mentality. All right? And then Babylon is associated with the destruction of Esau, Edom. So that's how you know it's the daughter of Babylon, a new Babylon. So with that, I'm going to give all praises, glory, and honor unto Yahweh by Hashem, by Hashem, Rakak, Wadash, Wa Abba, Babal.